All right, hi everyone. I want to give you some feedback on your logos and stationery. Uh, I've I've enjoyed looking at them. There's a lot of really good improvements. Starting with Alicia's unicorn ice cream, uh, the logos improved a lot. Really like how you've simplified the cone and the shapes in the background. Um, the unicorn is a lot more pleasant as well. There's still something about it that I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's the ice cream looking like a Barbie bouffant hairdo. I don't know. And also the text still isn't quite playing with the logo. It's not working as a unit with the logo. Um, I'm assuming that the plan here is to make a business card the shape of an ice cream cone. I think that's a good idea. I I wonder when you print this, instead of printing this black outline, if you just print the ice cream, if that would be better. Otherwise, unless you're planning on not cutting it out, um, also wonder about cutting so much of the card off. Um, and this text, I told everybody to make the text small, but this text seems a little bit too small. Maybe it's because I'm zoomed out a ways, but make sure that your text is fairly readable. I wouldn't go too much smaller than, say, 8 point, depending on the typeface that you use. Um, Also, I'd say strengthen this alignment. You've got kind of a round whatever line. Some of these bottom lines are kind of lined up. Maybe this is center aligned text. Don't do that. Um, nice contrast. I'm glad that you've got something big here. Um, I can't quite read what that says, but make sure that you put your own name on the business cards. I want everybody to do that. And I really like this letterhead, although it doesn't feel the same as the business card. So these two things should match more. There should be more repetition. And you've repeated the fonts, but the colors are so different in this part anyway that it feels like a different thing. Also, it might be hard to read a letter on top of this graphic. You'll, you'll probably need to make it less, um, I guess, more contrastive with black text. So especially this dark ice cream will be hard to read on top of. And any hard lines too. When text crosses over that, it will be hard to read. And you need identifying information, particularly address, phone number. When you send a letter to somebody, you want them to be able to respond back to you easily. And so the letterhead needs to have that information on it. This logo is working well. I'm not sure why you changed this easy records. I liked the way it was before when it was kind of tied up here against the bottom of the Z. Um, and these two fonts are both grungy fonts. They clash with each other. So I would encourage you to choose a different contrasting font for this on the card. Letterhead looks good. This is a better contrasting font, but notice how different the feel of this is from the business card. There's no, the repetition is not right. This feels like a different organization because you've used a different typeface on these. So changing the typeface up will help a lot. Also, this could be smaller. This watermark can be lighter, and I'd say align these two things. If at least try it and see what you think. This could probably be smaller as well. Killer Roses, nice idea. Really like the name of the organization. As long as people understand that killer is a good thing and that it's not like killer bees or something. But you need identifying information on this. Also, this looks like a JPEG. Be sure that you don't ever print from the JPEG. Print right from the document itself, the Illustrator or InDesign document. So hard to tell what this is going to be like where you're going to put the identifying information. Also, you've got some tangent here where this is too close to the edge. It's okay if it goes all the way off the edge, but you don't want it to barely touch the edge. here on the left, right, and bottom. I really like this business card, how this is kind of carried through front and back. I like that you've left white space. Even though you have used the corners, you've left white space around the information. Um, and yeah, I think this is working pretty well. It feels like there's plenty of space, and pretty strong line, and nice repetition between the letterhead and the business card. Um, Ben, I already talked to you in my office about this, so I'll just skip yours. Um, there's the letterhead that went with the business card. It does need identifying information on it. I'm not sure what to think about this one. It looks like it's not done. Uh, I don't know what the design is going to look like. It looks like the fonts maybe have changed and the color isn't there, even the company name. Um, I'm not sure how to give feedback on that one, sorry. Really like this letterhead, very nicely done. It does feel a little bit crowded up here. Maybe we could open up some space by moving this down, or I was thinking making it smaller, but that might close up space if you make it smaller. So maybe move this down, maybe even make it larger. I don't know, maybe make it a little bit lighter so it's easier to type your letter on. I would move this information over from the left even some more, move it more to the right so that uh, this strong line, which I really like, will indicate where the left margin of your letter is. And then here's the business card. A little hard to see this card. Make sure your text isn't too small. It might work better over here, and probably not right in the middle of the logo. It's throwing your logo off. The logo is stronger when it didn't have all this stuff in it. If you do end up putting information over here, you might left align it so that it unites the two sides of the card. You might even try a vertical card and see what you get. This would be a fun one to do, a front and a back of the card as well. I like this strong line here, but it's too trapped in this little bit of space. Hard to give feedback on this one, especially the logo part. Not sure what it's going to look like. This text is too crowded into the corner. These two little icons are way too crowded into the corner. Please give things more white space. You can't put it so close to the edge. This is fine on this side. I really like that you used a photo. I don't think anybody else has really done that. And this looks nice. So since you've come off of the edge, it doesn't feel crowded. Yeah, this looks really good. Um, I'm not sure about contact to book your session. I think people know that without you telling them. Nice strong alignment here. I always wonder when you have a circular logo, you see how the the strength or the heavy part of this logo is right in the center. I wonder what would happen if you drew an invisible line from this circle down and you use that to either left align this text to. So if you left the text on the right hand side and left align it to the center of this circle, or move the text over to the left hand side and right aligned it to the center of the circle. At least give that a try and see what you think. Also, why not, if you're going to use this circle, why not trim this color off the top and make your business card this shape? I don't know that you need these two lines. They seem to be distracting and a little hard to cut. And it might be making and maybe this is intentional, a letter P for photography maybe? I don't know. I, it's hard when you have something right on the edge to cut it just exactly right, because there's always a little bit of wiggle in printing. But I guess for this project it doesn't matter because we're not really printing and cutting business cards. I'm not sure where the stationery is for this project. Maybe we'll come upon it later. I think you could do so much with this idea of a pyramid production. I think I would take the scheme out because a pyramid scheme is illegal and it casts a really negative light on your organization. Also, this text is really hard to read. Uh, I, I'd love to give you some ideas on this logo. It has so much great potential. These business cards, make sure that they're the correct proportions. So it looks like it's a little bit too um, wide for the height. It should be 3.5 inches by 2 inches. Also, you need some contrast on this side, and don't shove stuff in the corners, and don't let anything just kind of float there without being aligned with something. I talked with you, Christy, in my office about your stationery, like the improvements that you've made on it. We talked about some ideas, so I'll just skip that one. Hard to see this little card. Text might be a little too small, and it might be too crowded in that area, a little claustrophobic in that area. This text is probably okay. If you didn't use these white lines, then it would really help free up some white space, and it would give you some more room to move that text. I like that you carried the slanty theme. I'm not sure if it gives the right impression. A cake is kind of sliding off the table. I'm not sure if that's what you want to communicate. And maybe that's not what you're trying to communicate, but that's the impression that I get, is it's slowly sliding off the table. Also, your cake, I don't know, it seems like it shouldn't go in right there and right there. You'd want it to go straight down, I think. And the text in this logo needs to be more prominent. And here's the letterhead. Logo feels like it's kind of trapped in a box, and there's not really a reason to put this logo in a box. Could it be, could it be kind of like this was without a square around it, so that it's not trapped from side to side and top to bottom? And then this text over here too is fairly crowded in that area. I like that creative idea. It's really unusual. So maybe that could work. Maybe give it a little bit more space over there. Give it some more blue, I guess, between this white area, so it's not quite so trapped in that space. You might try stacking this too. It might make a stronger line, and find some contrast. So something should have the most weight. I wouldn't separate, if this is all address, I wouldn't separate with these lines. It makes sense. We're separating email from website, from physical address, from phone number, but these are all address, and they should all be together. All right. Really like the changes to this logo. It's so much simpler and cleaner, and even these little stems on the leaves are it's a nice, more organic feeling kind of a shape. Anyway, lots of nice changes here. Hard to tell because the stationery is so small what it's going to look like. Make sure the cards are the right proportions. They might be. I can't tell at this really teeny size. But overall, I like the strong alignments here. You might be able to get away with no logo on this side, although you would want the name of the organization. But I would think you don't need a logo on the back and the front. And then this works all right. I always think that that unity works better than separation. So right now your information and your logo are separated. If you brought information over here, then that might work better. Maybe the information could be green underneath, so the text in the same dark green, just printed and aligned right here underneath somewhere. So this one, I I think the logo's made some improvements. I still don't think the text, the typography is really working with the icon or the graphic in the background. Hard to align things really with this kind of a shape. Um, this is nice. It has a strong alignment. Um, be sure that you're not just copying a silhouette that you found online. Um, so I don't mind if you look at silhouettes. Do a Google image search for girl head silhouette. Um, but if I do a Google image search for that and I find this same exact silhouette, then and I'm sure you didn't do this on purpose, but that's copying something that's not yours. And use it as reference material, that's fine. But you need to modify it a lot so that it's unique and it's honestly your unique logo. Logos have to be unique. They can't be something that you find on Google image search and kind of copy. And I think there's plenty of things you could do to make this unique. So there's the letterhead. Here's the business card. She needs no space. Okay, she's really trapped on this card. Make sure your proportions are right. Same thing here. The text goes from left to right, and it's kind of crowdy. And everything's all caps, which all caps generally are harder to read. So be careful with that. Also, please put your own name on the business card and the letterhead if you use the name. I guess this letterhead doesn't have a name on it, but on the business card, be sure you use your own name. That's for everybody. All right, Aaron, we talked in my office about yours. I really like it. I gave you some feedback already, though, so I'm just going to skip it. I really like the way this logo works on the business card. It's just clear and simple, and this was a nice call to spread these brackets out a little bit and put your information in there. Love this. Very, very nice. This is very nice as well. You might consider the thing that I said earlier about alignment. Could this come over? Also, this dark purple and this black, because the purple is so dark, it doesn't contrast as well as it could with the black. You might consider using just gray, this dark gray, although there's black in the logo too, so maybe that works. I don't know that you need this line, so using it decoratively, I'm not so good with that. But if you're using it purposefully because it communicates something, then that's fine. It just doesn't seem like the right shape or like it's necessary. It'll just box things off and create more kind of trapping of space. But anyway, the card is beautiful and the letterhead is really good. I'd just say maybe take the line off and experiment with alignments. Wow, this logo looks so much better. That font really works well. This text feels a little bit crowded on here, Jared, and a little hard to read, but again, that might be the size. I don't think you need the logo on both sides of the card. Give some contrast here, so make Jared Stensrud stand out with a little bit of bold or size or something to make it different. And this is a great example of not enough repetition. So if you're going to use this color scheme on your card, then you need to use the same color scheme on the letterhead, because these look like two almost completely different organizations. Even though the logo is the same shape, it doesn't have the same color scheme. The fonts look the same, although it looks like you've used an old style here. I can't quite tell because it's so small. And then here, everything is sans serif. Also, I would just unite these two together. Why separate them on two separate sides? You could separate them with vertical space and align them. But yeah, this separation just isn't working as well, I don't think. Try it anyway and see what you think. I don't know that you need your saying at the bottom either. Maybe that could go on the card somewhere. I don't know. Your card feels a little crowded. But you could probably fix that by changing the size of your text and moving things away from the edges. Wow, this card is beautiful. I love this. It works so well, this solid color and the simple logo. Really, really nice. Even like this kind of watermarky repetition of the lotus flower on this side. The only thing I question is placing your text on top of it. Because of the tangents created in the overlapping shapes, I would move the text over to this side and keep it left aligned, just move it over. But this is gorgeous, really like the card a lot. And your stationery is beautiful. Wow, it's even got kind of a subtle curve, kind of like your lotus flower has, to repeat that idea. And nice. The white space maybe could be improved here where the logo is if you just had a little more space in there. And I don't know how you do it, but experiment with this text coming over here to align and unify with the logo. Maybe it could be the same color underneath, printed underneath this. Maybe right aligned, maybe left aligned, I'm not sure. It's a little tricky because of this curve, but overall this is just a beautiful stationery set, card and letterhead both. I don't remember seeing this logo before. It definitely borders on the simplistic side. Simple is always good, but simplistic is something that you'd want to avoid. The logo is making it not look very professional. I like the alignment here because the name of the organization is right aligned and this is left aligned, and so it really unifies those things. These large black dots are calling a lot of attention to themselves, and they don't deserve a lot of attention because they're just decorative. So consider not using those or making them a lot smaller, maybe a lot more spread apart or something. Maybe this trail that the bee's making, if it was small dots really spread apart in this kind of curved shape, could come down through or something. But this straight line of big black dots doesn't make much sense visually. Same thing here, a lot of visual weight on these big black dots. And this alignment isn't as strong as it was on the business card. I like that you've made your name contrastive. I guess you did that on the card as well. I'd worked the logo a little bit more so that it feels more professional. Even though it's a preschool, it needs to be an organization that parents can trust. So that needs to be, I don't want to say mature, that's not the right word. Keep it simple, but not so simplistic. This is a great start for a logo, this shape here. Very recognizable and communicative, but the text is not working with it at all. Partly because it's so small and hard to read and trapped in this space and no contrast. The text doesn't make this feel logo-ish. I love this font, very readable. I would align it to the left instead of to the right. This scattering things and center aligning them, I don't think is working so well on the back of your business card. You might want to rethink that. These icons probably don't need to be quite that big for people to know what they're for. This works nicely on letterhead, this shape. These two lines, though, again, they're calling a lot of attention to themselves and don't really deserve it. And then this text is crowded up against that, and this text is crowded down against that. And let's unite it. So bring it over here, align it left instead of aligning it to the edge. This is hilarious. Personal assistant for Kanye West. Sometimes Mackenzie, I don't know where are coming from, but I think it's hilarious, and I think it works pretty well. I would question the white space being trapped here in the middle and everything else is on the edges. If it was me, I would bring the text over and left align it to Kanye West's head. I kind of see what you're doing, but it doesn't feel united at all. And I'm not sure where the letterhead is for this stationery set. All I got was a business card. Unless maybe I clicked on the wrong thing. And Mark, we met in my office about yours. Some really nice improvements with your logo, I think. And we talked about dimensions of business card and all sorts of things. So I'm just going to kind of skip past that one. Megan, I talked with you as well. Nice improvements, changes, simple changes on your logo to make it more clear and clean, I guess. And Megan, this is great. I'm not sure if this part of your logo is working yet. I'm not sure what to tell you to do with it, but I think the other parts, the really thin parts, and maybe this general shape is working. I'm not sure about the MG. Really like this little thing down here because it's not just decorative, it's a repetition of logo elements. So that's a nice little touch. I tend to not like things that are disunified, and so please experiment with this and see what you think. Now on your card, there's a good unity here where this is left aligned and it kind of brings us over to the logo. You might find a vertical alignment as well, I guess, meaning like the top of this and the bottom of this. This is a little bit floating in relationship to that. So, could you bring something up or down and bring so that these have an invisible line connecting them this way? And then I'm not sure what this third page is, but it's cool. Maybe it's just what you put down here in the logo. I like that you used this heavy bar, so it's not just a decorative bar, but it's a bar that has information in it. So it deserves some attention, right? And this nice big bar, it gives you plenty of space to work with. This is Sam's letterhead. This is a nice shape. I think it's working fairly well. I would put a little contrast here. Make sure it's not crowded. I think it could use some more space inside of this. Make this bar a little bit bigger. And I don't see your business cards. So it looks like that's all I've got for today. Hope that's helpful to you, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday.